Um, Thanks for coming out to our HR user group meeting. So thanks for coming out. We have a great turnout. So we have 35 people on the webinar already, which is great. And thanks to you. So I'm Anita Collins, for those of you who don't know me, from the Connect Carolina Change Management team. So I'll talk about the agenda in just a second. So for those, is anybody here for the first time? Anybody? Is there, sir? One. All right. So I'm talking to you right now. So we do have people on the webinar, and so we're having to use a different type of mic today, but we'll kind of be talking into that. The sessions are recorded. They're on the ccinfo.unc.edu website. So that usually takes a couple of days to process the recording and get it up there. So you'll find it there, and we're glad you're here. So our topics today are, I'm going to talk for a few minutes about the Connect Carolina link is moving on the UNC website. I've practically just done my topic, but I'll give it a little more attention in just a minute. I'm going to talk to you about the survey results. So I'm hoping a lot of you guys filled out the survey that we sent that about these meetings, and I'll tell you kind of what we learned from those. Dave is here to talk about student and temporary Autoterm reminders. So Dave Turner. And our Dave and Ann are our regular presenters here. Ann's going to talk about direct navigation. She's also going to talk about Midstacks errors. Dave's going to come back up to talk about comments in ePars. We had a bit of attrition on the presenter front today, so Megan and Corey weren't able to be here. So Dave is going to talk, Dave is going to talk about the 9.2 upgrade. He's going to give an update on that. And then Ann's going to talk about, Dave's going to talk about maximizing ePars search. So it's the Dave, Ann, and Anita show today. Okay, so real quick. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up. So the unc.edu website is going through a redesign. I don't know if you guys have heard about that already. So it's going to be a very glamorous new look for it. But I don't know how many of you get to Connect Carolina by using the link on the UNC website. Okay. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that when that site goes live, that link is moving to the bottom of the page. So beautiful new site, not so useful for Connect Carolina users. So just bookmark it. So you can click on the link now and then save it in your browser as a bookmark is the quickest way. You can also, I always just type connectcarolina.unc.edu. So it's another way to get to it. So I just didn't want you guys to be surprised. The website is going live probably in 3 weeks or so. Okay, you heard it here first. You're the first to hear that news. Okay, so the survey. So we wanted to know. We've been doing these meetings for a while, and wanted to make sure that you guys thought they were valuable and worth your time. And then we wanted to get ideas for topics and just kind of generally set our direction for those meetings. And so we sent out the survey and we got 98 responses. And that's actually a really great return on a survey. When you do surveys, the average response rate is like 14%. So if you get 14% on a survey, you know that you've done well, actually, even though it doesn't look like it is. But we got a good mix of responses. So we got HR reps and student originators, basic originators, and approvers responded to the survey. So that was great. And then we were wondering, because we do this webinar, and we wanted to see if people thought that was valuable or prefer to come in person, because it's a bit challenging, as you guys know. You see it if you come to these meetings, that it's a little bit challenging to do both the webinar and in person. We want to make sure that was worthwhile. And it seemed like, we are getting a good mix of people in person and on the webinar, so we want to keep doing that. It's also nice to be able to record the meetings. Then we wanted to know, okay, so if you came, why? And if you didn't come, why? So we heard that things people like about these meetings is they like interacting with other HR staff. They thought the content was relevant. So yay, that's a relief. That's good. They like to stay current and hear about updates, and like to be able to ask questions. So those are all great things, and no danger of us cutting any of those. We'll do our best efforts. The reasons they didn't attend is they didn't hear about it. And that was I consolidated a lot of those responses, but that's concerning to us because that is a challenge for us, is to get the word out to everyone. So we've been pulling lists from Connect Carolina of everybody who has the different roles and communicating directly that way. And as a result, our attendance is way up, which is great. But then we're still hearing that people don't hear about it. So we're still going to keep looking at it and think about ways that we can promote the meetings more. Was too busy or had a conflict. Okay, we can't do too much about that. The location is challenging. So that's something, we have to look at. This is just a super easy location to book, and it's central. So that's kind of why we come here. But, it is challenging. We also got some responses, I don't think I put it on here, that people don't know that they can join the webinar. So we have to promote that word, get that word out there a little bit. So if you guys can help us. So if somebody can't come in person or doesn't want to take the extra time to travel to this location, we need to just, make sure they know about the webinar option. Another person, I heard this quite a bit actually, then another person in my unit goes and then shares the information, which is great also. And then there's the recording for anybody who wants more detail. Okay, so was the content relevant? We wanted to know about that. And it looks like people were pretty happy with the content. There was a small group that didn't think the content was relevant. And so one of our strategies is just to get the agenda out. So if there's nothing on the agenda that you're interested in, then you'll have the option not to come. So I think Rebecca's including that when you send the invitation out, or the reminder, I think. Yeah. Okay, so topics for future meetings. So we just got a gold mine of answers there. So I don't think every single answer is on here, but I tried to collect the most common ones. So topics we heard, you guys were interested in hearing more about our issues and how to deal with issues that come up. Updates, upcoming updates, changes that have happened to the system, tips and tricks, avoiding errors, best practices from other Connect Carolina users. So I thought that was interesting. I'd love to kind of see if we can work on sharing with each other tips and tricks. Understanding Midstack errors, which Anne's talking about that today. So that was direct result of the survey. Making corrections to entries, when to submit a help ticket, examples of different ePars and PATs. So all really good information and things you'll see in future meetings. Topics related to working with students, student actions, processes for working with graduate students, wage hour laws, questions related to funding actions, about using combo codes, how to make sure supplements are funded correctly, working with suspense. So just lots and lots of topics, enough for this year, at least, I think. Some other topics that came up, processing workers' comp and FMLA in the system, reports and infoports. I do want to mention, do you guys know that Rebecca actually teaches an infoport class for HR? So kind of give a little shout out to Rebecca that you can sign up, and you can sign up, anyone can sign up. It's taught once a month, and you can go through the CC Info website and look for training, and that course is there, and highly recommend it. It gets really good reviews. Another topic that people are interested in are what are job end dates used for, since they don't automatically end a job, working with affiliates. I know there was an entire meeting dedicated to working with affiliates, wasn't it?
We did a user group.
User group? Okay. Carolina service, then the process for exception sheets, overpayments, underpayments, including correcting student hours that were charged to the wrong position. So a variety of topics and lots of good topics for future meetings. Okay, so we also asked, what can we do to improve? And one that came up very often is presenters repeat the questions. So this is my mission for you guys today, is if we forget to repeat a question, this is mostly for the people on the webinar, right? So they can hear the answer, but they can't hear the question, which is always an interesting puzzle to try to figure out what the question was. But so your mission today is that if we forget, the presenters forget to repeat a question, then just shout out, repeat the question, because we need to get trained. Although I think these guys are really good at doing it anyway. But so start resolving technical issues earlier so we can start on time. And that is a super challenge. And honestly, I don't know if we can fix it, because we generally come to the meeting about 45 minutes early to try to work out technical issues. But then the browser will have changed, or there will be an upgrade, or our webinar tool will decide to, not stop working like happened yesterday. So doing the webinar is just a complex. There isn't an easy solution for doing webinars. It's always technically complex, and we're dealing with sound issues and all kinds of stuff. So I just want to kind of say that we are trying very hard to start on time, but it's always a new adventure. Every single webinar is a new adventure technically. Show contact information for presenters. So we didn't actually do this today, but that's a good suggestion. Send everyone who received this email the HR updates that are sent to HR representatives. So I think that's something for discussion on the HR side. I think we can just raise it as a question. Send slides before the meeting so those on the webinar can follow along if there are technical difficulties. And that is a really great suggestion that we will strive towards, but I can just go ahead and tell you guys that we're often working on the slides like 3 minutes before the meeting starts, which drives Rebecca crazy because she's doing our technical support. And so if we ever get to the point where we can get really stable and make sure that we're in good shape before the meeting starts, we will. That's a great idea, and we should be doing that. But it's often that we realize something could be said better or done differently, or we have a new idea right up until the last minute. So, okay. The other suggestion was have more food. So this is the best I can do on the budget that we have. But I love that. That cracked me up. So hopefully occasionally we will have food, but it won't be a regular thing, unfortunately. So if there's anything else that you can think of, so it's been a few months since we did the survey, I would love to hear from you. So it's Anita_Collins@unc.edu. If you're like, I have an idea for a topic, let me know. We'll collect them and we'll work them in if we can. So, okay. Also favor, if you could share the word that these meetings are available on the webinar or as recordings, just help to get that word out. So we do put it in the emails, but I think people it just doesn't register. Maybe they haven't attended a webinar before, so they don't even, they don't know what we're talking about. So if you could spread that word, and then again, mention that the Infoport reporting class, because we had several people on the survey. It didn't look like they knew that we had that class. So spread that word. We'd appreciate it. All right, turn it over to Mr. Turner.
Thank you very much. Get over by the microphone. Good morning, everybody. For those of you who attend these meetings regularly in one way or another, I've been like a broken record the past few discussing the student and temporary Autoterm process that has been changing. This should be the last time you get to hear me speak about this because I'm happy to report it is working. As of January, and that would be as of the 15th officially, we now have a fully automated process that does a couple of things. First of all, on a daily basis, it automatically terminates any SHRA students or temporaries with an expected end date equal to or before that current date. The second thing it does is on the 15th of each month, on a monthly basis, it now goes out and automatically terminates any EHRA student with an expected job end date on or before the current month. Yes, sir.
The part about terminating a position on their end date, does it terminate all their positions if they have more than one job?
No, sir. It terminates the specific. I'm sorry? Thank you very much. I'm going to repeat that question. You got me right off the bat. So the question was, when the Autoterm process runs, does it take care of all of the positions or jobs that the person is in? And the answer is no. It takes care of the specific job that has that expected end date. So it would terminate one IMPL record and then leave the other ones as they are. Yes, ma'am.
But they need to be terminated too.
Well, only if they have expected end dates.
Well, that's what mine are.
All right, okay, well, and that may not be the case depending on how the secondary job, all the jobs are set up.
Well, there's a rule: temporary employees can work for 1 year, and then they have to sit out 31 days. Mm-hmm. But now, if they get a second job, that second job can go on in that 31 days unless someone catches it.
Correct, but not all jobs.
Arts and sciences is not catching it.
Correct. The statement was that there is a limit to how long some of these jobs can be held, and that's true. But jobs can be staggered, and they don't all last for a year. And so you can have very short jobs that occur and may have an expected end date while other jobs are going on. Ann, would that be a correct statement?
Correct.
Okay, and so there are all sorts of situations around the university, and this just deals with the specific job that has that expected end date that is going to be terminated. Yes, ma'am.
If the job at the end date is their primary, what happens to the secondary? They're still working in it. Do they get moved to the primary?
They do. There is a process that we use. I'm sorry. Boy, I usually am pretty good at this, but I'm just rolling today. So the question was, if we automatically terminate a primary position, what happens to the secondaries? And we do have a process that we work through daily that looks at those kind of orphan secondary jobs. And if there's one, we'll move it to primary. If there are multiples, there's a logic that we use to figure it out. And if we can't figure it out, you guys get a call. And we say, what are we supposed to do with this? So that's how we're handling that on the back end. So that's a great question as well.
But I do think it's really HR reps should be paying attention to that before it ever gets to that point. So people should be paying attention and resolving those situations before that expected job end date and maybe switching the positions.
Vicki Bradley has noted that the HR reps we're hoping are keeping an eye on those things as well. And so they're able to help in those situations where that's happening. I would note that since we love our exceptions, in both cases, we're not going to automatically terminate anybody that has a higher job change or status change action that's in progress. We also don't automatically terminate anybody that is in a payroll lockout. And of course, we would not want to auto-term fellow trainees in job code 800-171. That was just a standout that causes problems. Now, if somebody's auto-termed in error, a remedy ticket is what you can submit to get that job removed or to get that action removed. But since we all hate submitting remedy tickets and having to do that, I just wanted to point out something Rebecca would, I'm sure, tell us in her training, that there is an expected end date report that we have in InfoPort. It's fabulous. If you go to the HR section of InfoPort in the Reports tab, there's a drop down where you can select it. I've shown you up here. That allows you to look at all of your employees and see their end dates, and it also provides filters so that you can cut that list down a little bit and see specific groups. So we highly recommend, I do at least, that every Friday on your calendar, you have this to run. You can run it for any group and see what you have coming at you in the next week or the next month that you need to deal with in advance.
Question.
Yes, ma'am. Question.
This is coming from Tracy. If it terminates only one job, will the employee have to reinstate direct deposit forms to payroll?
The question is, if the job is auto-terminated, will the employee have to reinstate direct deposit?
It says if only one job.
If only one job.
If you only terminate one job, will the employee have to reinstate direct deposit forms to payroll?
To payroll. I don't believe so. And I think the question is asking if there are other jobs out there besides the one that's auto-termed, is there going to be any effect to how the payroll is handled? And no, you would not have to reinstate anything for direct deposit. That still remains in place. Are there any other questions? And I'm happy afterwards to go over anything that folks may think about while we're talking. So with that, I will hand the stage over to Ms. Sam Sager.
Hello. I think you all know me by now. So before I start on my topic, I just wanted to give you some statistics from the EHRA auto-term process that we ran. There were a total of 162 students, graduate students, who were terminated. There were 7 which resulted in overpayments, which ranged in overpayment values of $40 to over $6,000. I have reached out to all of those departments and have let them know about it, and they will have to work it. So in the past, if you know a student is being overpaid and you process the termination, it's your responsibility to then start the overpayment process with a ticket to payroll. And that doesn't change with the auto-term process. I just kind of am weaning you into it. All right, a new topic. We're going to talk about direct navigation. Here's my thingy. Here we go. So did you know there's 2 different ways to navigate throughout Connect Carolina? Most people use the HR Work Center, and there are advantages and disadvantages. So looks familiar, Work Center. So some of the advantages, its navigation is pretty easy. You can, you don't have to know how to get to pages, which is the Connect Carolina terminology for a screen. And you can quickly jump from one page to another. The disadvantages, however, at least from my perspective, is you can only have one window open at a time. So if I'm looking at a person's job record, I can't also look at the position. So you can't compare things. You can't jump easily, quickly back and forth. You have to go from one page to another. So how many of you use the workaround of having Connect Carolina open in multiple browsers? I'm not surprised, which for you guys is great, but I'm usually in test environments, so I don't have enough browsers. I'm waiting for companies to create more browsers so I can have more browsers. So my workaround, or most of what the BAs do, I'm going to share with you. So let's say that I want to, and I'm going to talk about this and then attempt a live demo. So if I wanted to look at a job record, I would need to navigate. Yes, that's why we're calling this navigation. So I have way more access than you guys do, and this is one of our test systems, so I even have more navigation. So yours would never look this horrific, I hope. But what you can see is I started by clicking on that main menu, and it gave me a drop down of folders. I clicked on, where did I go? HR payroll menu, clicked on workforce administration, job information, job data. So at this point, you've all tuned me out and thought, well, that takes way too long. But if I'm going to do this a lot, I can save it as a favorite. Not a browser favorite, but a Connect Carolina favorite. So in your banner, the portal banner, which is blue in production and green, it's green because I'm in our test system, you can do an add to favorites. You give it a name, call it whatever you want. I'm very creative. I call mine job. And then I save it. Now I want to look at position data. So again, here comes this power of this navigation. I'm going to use the new window link. This is in Connect Carolina, not a new browser window, but a new Connect Carolina window. It's going to open a new window, which will look like exactly where I was. But, yeah, so I show you don't click the little plus, the browser plus. And it will open whatever you were in. So now it's going to look like I've got two jobs. But then I do my navigation in that window. So I go to HR payroll, menu, organizational development, position management, maintain position budget, add update position information. Again, you're like, oh my gosh. You do it once, save it as a favorite. So that's what the navigation looks like. Save it as a favorite. And then I do one more. So every morning I come in and I've got those, well, once I do this ePar one, I got 3 favorites already saved. And I come in and I log into Connect Carolina. I pick one of them. I usually pick job. I click that new window button. I pick the position. I click new window. I pick my other favorite of view and ePar. And I've got 3 things ready to use. And I can just keep popping back and forth between the 3. And you can have up to 5 windows open. After 5, I can't promise things will work. And they must be unique. So you can't have 2 jobs and 1 position. They all have to be different types of pages. Question?
Can one of my favorites be view ePar and another be create ePar?
The question was, can my one window be view an ePar and the other be create an ePar? And the answer is yes, they're different pages. Yes, Lori?
These are windows, not tabs, correct?
So the question was, thank you. These are windows, not tabs. So you're using the Connect Carolina new window feature, which actually is creating a new tab, but you can't use the browser new tab feature. I know that sounds really crazy confusing, but you have to let Connect Carolina open up your new window. Mr. Turner.
I'd just like to go back for a second and talk about going to favorites for create and favorites for view. A lot of times, or we have found that in some browsers that can cause, we do some global settings at the home page, at the front page. So while it's okay with view, if you were to do create and maybe resubmit, we've seen some issues at the global settings that can cause problems downstream. So I think from the view perspective and create, that would be good. But be careful about marking every single one of those because you can get halfway downstream and have a problem And then we have a remedy ticket. We get to talk to you personally.
So-
I think from this perspective, it's good, but don't get too many of those as you get deeper off the homepage.
And I would agree that part of that is because that's a specialized add-on product. It's not PeopleSoft delivered,
Correct.
which is all the other pages were. So that may have, if it's not working, get rid of one of them. Keep view. That's always the best.
Absolutely.
Now, if you are going to use InfoPort, I find it works best to have that be your last window. So again, up to 5. So number 5 would be my InfoPort. Questions? Yes.
You have to do it every morning.
The question was, do you have to do it every morning? So every morning I have to come in, log in, and get that all set up, but I don't have to set my favorites. Once you create your favorites, they're there. You can manage your favorites, you can delete your favorites, you can edit your favorites, but once you do them, they're there. Good question. Other questions? So in this document, I've included some other navigations, but if there's something you look at and you go, I see it on the Work Center, how do I get to it? Just reach out to me and I'll give you the direct navigation links, how to get there. So there's some of them. So you want to see a demo? Good luck. All right, I think I can handle this. Do this. Oh, I need the mouse.
You have to do it on the right.
This one. For those of you on the webinar, I'm just having a little technical moment.
All the way up at the top, Ann.
Oh,
There you go.
there we go. Okay, I've already logged in. Let's hope it's still active. So in my favorites, I have nothing. So up at the top, it's my, it's my recently used, but I have no favorites. So I'm going to create my favorite. So I'm going to navigate to job. Yeah, see, I can't use a touchpad. Sorry, the lefty is struggling here. So I'm navigating HR payroll menu. Workforce administration, job information, job data. And I get to the page and I want to mark, oh, should I get rid of that thing at the bottom?
No, just let it go.
Okay, we're ignoring the thing on the bottom. And I want to save my favorite now before I look somebody up. Because if you look somebody up and then save it, when you come to this page, it will always bring that person up. Now, it may be that you want to see them on a daily basis, but probably not. So I'm going to go up to the portal. Again, it's green because we're in our test environment. I say add to favorite. I'm going to call it job, and I click save. Now, if I look in my favorites, look, there's a job link. Okay, so I want to create my position one. New window. Again, that was the Connect Carolina new window. I'm in job, but I want to navigate to workforce development. Oops, sorry. Organizational development, position management, maintain positions, add position info. There's my position, add to favorites, give it its name, position, save. And my last one I will do is view an ePar, which is our homepage. View an ePar, add to favorites. Save it. So now in my favorites, I've got those 3, job, position, and view. And just to show you how easy it is, so I'm logging out as if I have not been logged in. I don't know why I have 2 of those. Once you get through the login screen, I'm going to do favorites, start with job. Click my new window. Go to position. Click my new window. Do a view. I'm set for the day. Call me, I'm ready. So, and literally when I get phone calls or tickets, this is what I'm doing. So I can look somebody up on job and then say, that seems odd. Let me look at their position. Jump over to that position tab, put in that position. And I am toggling among those multiple tabs all the time. So for me, this works really well to help me be productive. I get the Work Center makes it seem easier because you click once, but the amount of time you're doing to go back and forth, I highly recommend considering this. If you decide you try it and you hate it, you love what you're doing now, that's fine. I just thought I'd give you an alternative option. Question?
A question from Megan. Can you reorder your favorites once you've created them?
The question is, can you reorder your favorites once you've created them? Let's go see. So there is an edit my links. I've never had to, so I don't know. So let's say I want view and ePar to be first. No, I wonder if I can drag it. No, I don't know. I don't believe so, but I'll go do some research.
Could you drag it back from the other page when you're on the other page?
I don't
Like
think
not
so.
in the edit link? Like when you're right there.
No. Oh, wait, maybe. No, I'm getting a little X. So no, I don't know that you can, but it's not something I've ever tried to do. Yes, another question from the.
This is from Gwen. If CC auto terms during the day, do you need to do that all over again?
If Connect Carolina auto terms during the day. So we only do our auto terms in the evening or the wee hours of the morning. So I'm not exactly sure what that question means.
I'm guessing it phases it out. Yeah. Times out.
Sorry?
Times out probably. Logs, if Connect Carolina times out.
Oh, if Connect Carolina, I see. Sorry, I went to auto terms.
Yeah.
There you go. Topic of the day. If you get logged out during the day, yes, you would have to close all those windows, log back in, and do your setup again. I rarely do because it's an hour timeout. It's very rare that I get timed out. So I don't even think about that. Any other questions?
Just
Yes.
From way back when, I know that moving in one window keeps all the windows active. If you go through new window, that's an advantage of doing it your way as well, is that moving in activity in one window keeps all the rest of them.
That's true. So Anita pointed out that if you are working in Just Job and every time you click on there, it is keeping all of your windows active. After 8 hours, you will get the timeout warning. And you will, if you have 3 windows open, you'll get 3 timeout warnings. You click the OK, and then all 3 will stay. You may have to log in one time, but all your other windows should stay active. So you can probably get most of your day if you don't take a lunch break. Not that I'm saying you should. Have to take a lunch break. Another question. Is there a particular browser I suggest? So I use for production Internet Explorer, just because that's the one that we know, Oracle, which is the creators of Connect Carolina or the PeopleSoft, that they support the best. But I use it for the non-production in Chrome and Firefox and don't have any issues there either. Good question. Edge is questionable. So for those of you starting to use Edge, it is not yet a supported browser from Oracle. Other questions? All right, I'm going to get out of the demo.
Just go up to the tab at the top.
Go up
All
to the
way
tab
over.
at the top.
That one, yep. And back to PowerPoint, yep. And make it, yeah, and current slide. Yep.
Take that out. I put this in.
And
I've done my first demo. I am so happy. That went way better than. We want to get rid of the thing on the bottom?
no, just leave it.
Okay,
Just ignore it.
I'm going to ignore the software needs. Okay, so back to our regularly scheduled. Midstacks. I get to keep talking to you. All right, so Midstacks. What are these things you keep talking about called Midstacks? So Connect Carolina is intended to be a transactional system, so one transaction at a time. So think of a stack of pancakes. I like pancakes. Now I want pancakes. So when that first transaction comes in, you put it on the plate. You put it on the bottom of the plate. So say, for example, you hire somebody effective 1/1/17. First pancake on the plate. The next transaction comes along, and it's a department change effective 4/1. Another pancake on the plate, and a supervisor change, then a pay rate change, and then a TIM administrator change. So we got 5 nice stacked up pancakes. But then you found out there should have been a leave of absence effective 11/1/17. Needs to be in the middle of the stack, thus a mid-stack. Hopefully my visual gives you some insight. So what's the problem with that? The problem is that when you do that ePar, the system wants to put things on the top. That's its rule. I'm going to write this on the top. I'm going to write this on the top. Wait a minute, there's already something in the way. I can't do that. Uh-oh. So for those of you that can't see, it says the system always puts things on top, but this needs to fit in the middle of the stack, the mid-stack. So it gets stuck. I'm sure you've gotten calls from me or anyone on the BA team. So we have to enter it manually. So we have to squeeze that into the stack. We prefer not to do these, but we will do them if in fact we have to. So as an example, a scenario, we have a student that's placed on a short work break and then needs a supervisor change. Quite often when people do this, they will make the supervisor change effective today. Why? Because if something had to have happened a little bit earlier, you've just created the potential for that mid-stack. So you could, supervisor change could wait till they return, or you can put the effective date of that supervisor change effective when they went on short work break. So go back to their last action. We also see a lot of expected end date changes where people try to go back to the original hire date. So somebody got hired and then a whole bunch of things happen. Oh, we had the expected end date wrong from the beginning. I'll put in an expected end date change with the effective date all the way back to that hire. Well, that's clearly a mid-stack and no value to it. So make it a current last top of stack type date, unless you have to go back. Mid-stacks sometimes happen. Pay rate changes have to happen if you didn't have them in advance. So how to avoid them? Try not to do future dated, too far future dated, and obviously submitting actions in a timely manner. Question?
If you know that something you have to do is going to cause a mid-stack, do you want to be alerted before that ePar even is originated?
So Lori's question is, if you know that you're submitting an action that's going to be a mid-stack, do we want to know about it before you submit it? No. We can't do anything until it gets through approvals, but you may as well put the ticket in and give the ePar number. The help desk will hold on to it until it makes it through approvals. Other questions? Yes.
If you start an ePar and put it on hold, and then after you put it on hold, do another ePar, maybe you realize you had to do something different, will that cause a mid-stack?
So the question was, if you start an ePar and you put it on hold and then start another ePar, will that cause a mid-stack? It's all based on effective dates. So, but we don't recommend doing what you just described, because what happens is if the new one had an earlier date, your on hold one has become stale. So it still knows the information at the time you started it. So I would rather you abandon that one and start it correctly once you do the other transaction. In fact, don't even start it until that other transaction writes all the way through, because it doesn't know about stuff in flight. So this is a common thing we see with position. When somebody has a reports to and they're changing it to a supervisor, they start both actions at the same time. Whichever one writes through first is going to be the one that succeeds. The other one is going to fail. And I'll recycle it. Yes, I'm being like that. Other questions? All right, I'm turning this over to Mr. Turner to talk about comments in ePars.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right, so comments, the comments section in ePars should be subtitled why it's important and how you can use them to your advantage. That's what I hope to cover here in the next few minutes. So first off, why they're important. Our forums, our ePars collect a whole lot of information, but the one thing it can't know is what you were thinking when you were filling the information out. We're trying, someday we'll get there, but not today. And so what the comment section does is keep us from having to read your mind, and it gives us a little more of the background on why you're doing what you're doing. During training, I know that we ask everybody to, at the minimum, leave your initials and the date in the comment section. And what this does is it says who was there and when, kind of an I was here stamp, if you will, and it tells us a specific time. If we have to do some support work on a ticket or something, we can always look back and see who's touched this when. But we're at UNC Chapel Hill. We don't want to do the minimum. We're better than that. We really want to read. We love reading what was going on when the action was created. We would love to see a book. I know that's asking too much, so maybe just some additional detail. And who is the we love to see it? The approvers love to see it. It's always nice to know what the background story is. Also, if this is unfortunate and the action has to go to the help desk, it gives the help desk a head start on what was trying to happen. And so as far as how to use them to your advantage, use that white space and give just a little more detail and fact. We want to know the facts behind what was going on. So for example, on a hire form, new temp hire needed for a holiday sales cashier from here to here at $10 per hour. Now, why reiterate what you already put on the form? If an approver is looking at the form and wonders why you're trying to pay this person $1 an hour, they can look and say, oh, we have a typo here, and it's a quick recycle without a phone call or any additional work. If you want to get a little more wordy, you could say employee will be appointed into a non-salaried lecturer position effective 1/1/2018 through 7/1/2018. Based on department needs, she may be transferred into a compensated role for the fall of 2018. Gives all the information somebody would need to know not only what's happening, but what may happen in the future. On a position form, an originator can say this is a new student position for Dr. Richards. Oh, I talked to Dr. Richards last week. This is the one we were talking about. Approve. For requesting a reclassification so that the job duties are in alignment with the job title and to help with the recruitment of our daycare teachers. So that is a full explanation of why they're trying to put this in. Fund swap forms, they have a comment section too. Moving all compensation to state funds is a simple one. Correcting chart field due to changing grant funding. Grants change all the time. This lets people know that's why you're doing what you're doing. Or adjusted salary and chart field strings, all 5s to 5s and a 6 for new budget year. This is specifically what I did. Sometimes these chart field, the fund swap forms can be long, so it's nice to be very specific where you can be. On a job change form, you can say this action is to correct the job code that was incorrectly entered on the original hire form. Here's what I did wrong. This action is to correct it. And don't forget, the comment section is not just for originators. An approver should be entering, I'm recycling this action because the incorrect job code was entered for this action. And if you could read there, it would say, please use job code 222222, giving the specific correction that needs to happen. And so no phone calls necessary, bounces back, make the correction and send it forward again. So these are all things that can work to your advantage. I thought it was worth having a slide on what not to say before I put it up and everybody starts thinking it's just silly. In my 14 plus years here, I guarantee you I've seen each one of these examples in some forms in the comments section of various HR systems. On a job change form, data correction because the hire form originator did something stupid on ePart 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've also seen the word idiot used. Not appropriate for the comments section. Yes, I've had a long, glorious career here, seeing how things go. So status change, termination, it's about time. I think the actual verbiage might have been what took them so long. And then also, just besides, those are opinions. And so the point is, don't put your opinions out there for the world to see. Just the facts is what we're looking for. Also, maybe a little discretion. Sometimes you can give too many facts. Jack was stealing funds from our department, got caught. He is being fired. A little discretion. Some things belong in the HR file. And so maybe terminated with cause. Might have done well there. And so, yes, sir, question.
So you just said that that belongs in the HR file. Are you saying that ePars are not an HR?
No, but I'm saying there are specific forms that deal with the details. I'm going to repeat that question. Thank you for catching me. The question was, does it mean when I say that that's meant for the HR file that the ePars are not kept in a file of any kind? And that's not what I'm saying, but the details of some of those ePar actions are often kept in separate documentation that's handled off to the side. Yes, ma'am. Another question, which I will repeat.
Actually, it's more of a comment, but you do need to indicate something that tells someone there is a need to go look at the file. So just
Correct.
Terminated doesn't help. We've just gone through this exercise. So terminated for cause, terminated for specific personnel reason is a red flag. We can go look it up. But something that just makes
Right.
us think, well, okay, they didn't just quit.
Right. And so Ann has pointed out for us and that we've just gone through a process of making sure that we know that terminated as a comment is not enough where there was additional information that is held, that has additional information in the file. And so terminated with cause or some other specific information there would be good. And so with that, I should be moving on to Miss Megan Keefe, who's going to talk about the 9.2 upgrade update. But since she could not make it, she sends her regrets. You get me for another session here. If Megan were here, she would start by just reminding everybody why we're doing this upgrade. And we're doing the upgrade for a few very good reasons. First of all, 9.2 has some great features that we want to take advantage of. The first one that I think has already been mentioned is a much simpler look and feel that we'd like to move forward with after the upgrade. A better user interface, as they would say on the technical side, that is going to make it a little easier to get around. We're also going to be able to keep up with the support that our vendor provides. PeopleSoft has moved past the version we're on. They're still offering support, but there's not as much incentive to make changes to an old product. And so we really want to keep up and move into their current 9.2 model to keep up with support. And finally, along with the better look and feel comes some changes that let us make the system more accessible to those employees that have disabilities. Another important step that we keep wanting to get better at. And so those were the primary three reasons. There are others out there, but those are the ones that we like to note. Another picture that you've seen up here before is our schedule. We started this adventure back in May of last year. We started by setting up all the environments, and we are now well beyond knee deep, probably waist deep into testing. We've been through a couple environments now, and you see by the calendar that we are running out of runway quickly. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about what the last couple months are going to look like. We're going to start with user acceptance testing this month going into February with our central offices. Once they've had a chance to look at it and opine, we will move out to the campus users in February with user acceptance testing. And if you would like to be a part of this adventure, we are inviting you. If you want to be part of the test cycle, let your HR officer know with your school and division. And if you're interested in participating, we will do our best to include you. And then I am certain that Megan is going to be disappointed she did not get to announce the third bullet. For the first time, we're able to say when this upgrade is going to take place. Specifically, the weekend of March 2nd through the 4th, just weeks, I guess, away. We are going to have a full Connect Carolina outage across the board to do this. And so this is HR's gift to those of you who feel the need to work all the time. This is your wellness break for the year. You will have a weekend where you cannot get in the system in either HR, campus, or finance. And while you are out having fun, we will be working literally around the clock for that entire weekend to get this upgrade done and to minimize the downtime. We have folks setting alarm clocks for 3 a.m. to get up and press the go button on the next process. So we are really doing our best to make sure that you all don't notice anything at all with the change. And yes, ma'am, question.
What time on March the 2nd will it start? Is it 5 p.m., so it's just the weekend?
It is typically 5 p.m., but I can't give you a positive right now. Depending on how our test runs go, the question was, when will it start on March 2nd? And somebody's going to have to dock my pay for this presentation. This has been terrible. So the question was, when will it start on March 2nd? And it usually starts at 5 o'clock, but I can't make a promise that that will be the time. Depending on how it goes, it could be either a little earlier or a little later. But we know on March 2nd, look out, because it'll be coming. All right. So when I say we've been at least waist deep in testing, what have we been doing? We've been testing our interfaces with our vendors. we've been reviewing the configuration in the core parts of the system. These upgrades sometimes will just remove a field from a page. If we use the field, we have to know what to do with that. So we're looking across the board to see how that configuration might have changed. We're also looking at every page across all three of the browsers that everybody uses to make sure it looks the same and acts the same as it did before. And so we've been doing this through multiple environments. We have been doing step-by-step cutover practices through all of our environments. It's like a NASA missile launch. We do it repeatedly over and over again in practice so that when the day comes, it either goes perfectly or we're really, really prepared for the problem that hits us. And so we're trying our best to make it happen. Any questions on that update before I move on to some additional things that are coming with the 9.2 upgrade? Okay, the additional things, we had said we were trying to get a few things into the system. In addition to the upgrade, the first one was to provide funding information on the job and position data pages. One of those is in testing with job, and on position it's in development. I actually have a screenshot to show you what that'll look like in just a moment, so I'll share that with you. We wanted to revisit, and actually the revisit part's done, and remove is what we're working on. The budget workflow when budget changes have not occurred on the action. That is in testing right now and going pretty well. The address affiliate ePar bugs, we had some minor issues that we wanted to address. We were actually able to complete those ahead of 9.2. We had a window of time that we could put them in, and so we did. We also wanted to modify field labels on the UNC position data page, and that work has been completed and is ready to go with 9.2. So finally, there's some org chart functionality that we wanted to consider, and it is in testing right now and looking good. The initial release of that will most likely just go to the central offices and the HR reps, and then we'll reassess from there after it's out and been used for a while. So the yellow things, obviously green is good. Yellow's not bad, but we're wondering if we're going to be able to get all the testing done. We hate to put workflow changes out without a very thorough test plan. Routing is important and approvals. And so if we can't get through the test cycle to our satisfaction, it would be a priority along with the org chart functionality if we cannot get it tested fully either. So it will either be in there or it will be the thing we're working on first when we come out of the upgrade. So are there any questions on anything I've just covered for Megan? No questions. Okay, then the screenshots, just to show you that funding data link that we were talking about. It's in the upper right-hand corner. This is the job data screen. And it'll be added on top of what's already there, the historic personnel actions and the image now links. Right now, these are just on the work location tab, but I'm happy to say that we will now be including that on every tab across the board, so you won't have to bounce back. Very nice. I'm glad. I see some nods and some claps, so that'll be a good thing. When you select the funding data, it will bring you to a screen that will provide you with the information that's in the department budget table for that person. We've just shown somebody with 100% on one source. If there were multiple sources, you'd see a list here. So, yes, ma'am, a question.
Will there be historical data? Like you can go back and see, okay, prior to 11/17, he was paid off of this fund.
The question was, will there be historical data? And the answer to that is no. It just gives how it is in that moment.
But you can run the InfoPort report that would show you that.
And noted that you could run the InfoPort report that would give you a history in the background. Another question. Yes, ma'am.
For those who are students or potentially paid hourly as opposed to yearly, would it show the yearly or would it show theoretical yearly or show the hourly?
I believe it will show the question was, will it show hourly or annual for those people that are paid hourly? I believe it will show the annual.
It's correct.
Fantastic. And has verified that I'm correct on that. All right, so that is a look ahead at what is coming. And if there are no other questions there, I'll let everybody know that Megan had agreed to give Corey's presentation today. And so, hi, it's my pleasure to be able to present a little information on how to maximize your ePars searches. And how am I doing on time?
5 minutes.
I can do this in 5 minutes. Okay, so Anne gave us a great segue into this topic because she told us that one of her favorite pages is a view in ePar. And the reason we like it is because it's almost a mini reporting tool for us. A lot of times we're looking for groups of things, and we can use the view in ePar to run a quick search and get a group and then sort of hunt and peck for the thing we're looking for. And so Corey wanted to give us 4 tools that we can put in our toolbox that will allow us to really utilize the search. And these are all out there in a document that's highlighted there and will be sent out. It summarizes everything I'm going to summarize here for you right now. So the first things you want to do is cover how to use workflow status to do a search to your advantage. This is a list of the statuses that exist out there, and it really goes from top to bottom, beginning to end of the action. You start with pending once an originator is submitted, but nobody's approved it. After one or more people have approved it, it goes to partially approved, and unless it's withdrawn or put on hold, it moves on through the system to either authorized, which means everybody approved it, but it is stuck, as we like to say, at the integration broker for some reason, or it's been executed and it's moved into the system and been completed. So there are two other situations that can happen. It can be denied by an approver or by a workflow administrator, or recycled for additional work. You will be emailed in either one of those cases. And of course, we all want to see things executed. And so that would be the status that we want everything to end in. Why do you want to know all these? Well, sometimes you want to know, do I have any actions? I've done 30 actions over the past few days. Are any of them stuck at the integration broker? Am I going to get a call from Ann or one of the other folks at the help desk? I could enter in the search equals and put authorized. And when I hit search, that would tell me everything that's in an authorized status. But what if I wanted to know in process? That would be a couple of items. And so what I want to do is change that equals in the drop down to the word in, IN. When I hit the control button, I can select multiple statuses to choose from. So what if I wanted to know everything in process that's authorized, partially approved, and pending? I hit search and I get a list of everything out there that hasn't moved on in the system. All right, so that is one way you can keep an eye on things. What if I needed to know about a group of things that happened when? I need to know everything that happened in October of 2015. We have a problem I need to look back at. Instead of equals, I can change that to between for the action date. And I'll note the action date is the effective date on the forms that you're using of the action. You can use between and put 10/1/2015 to 10/31. When you hit search, it will return every action with an effective date that occurred. So again, another way to get a big group of things to look if you're not sure who it was or what it was. That'll get you the group to look at. You might also, this is my favorite, the wild card. I always remember half of what I need to know. So when I don't know the other half, I throw a % sign on the end, and it will give me the range of everything after what I knew. So if I know the department starts with 223, I put a % in. It gives me 100, 200, 220, whatever comes after that 223, it will give me a list of. And if I want to look at a really big range, I can use that % with a between, and it'll give me departments in between 42 and 44, everything. All right, and then if you're feeling really adventurous, you can combine all of these and you start getting everything that is in process that started back in 2015, obviously pretty old, that happened in that department for EPA folks. And so you can start using multiple screens to go ahead and get what you need, trimmed down really tight. And then if you do it all the time, Ant's talked about how to save favorites, you can save searches. So if I want to have an in-process report that I do every day, I just save it, go ahead and do the entry like we talked about, change it to in, do the control button and select. And then at the bottom right, you can save the search criteria. It will take you to the screen. We're going to call it ePars in progress. And when I hit the save button, it will now be there. Next time I log in the upper use save search, ePars in progress. You can save as many of them as you like, already filled out or vague that you can add information to. It always gives you the option. Here's what you saved. Do you want to add anything else before you search? And so with that, it gives you a chance to look at any group out there that you need to, whether you're in process or what's executed, and keep an eye on things that we are going to be calling you about sooner or later if we need to.
So one reason to do these is that your results, your search results will always limit you to 300. So if you were looking for everything you did last year, but you really only cared about EHRA students. Oh, wait, that's still too many. By a department, you can keep adding criteria to get to the ones you're really looking for. So that 300 is a stop. So a question came in asking, can you save the actual results? You can't. So you can't pick one and then go to the next and so forth. But in our next one, I'll show you my tip and trick of how to play with that to make that easier to toggle among your returned results.
Yep.
So that's
So-
in a future
future session.
Yep, and Ann, I just in case that didn't come through, Ann noted there is a 300 line limit to any returns, and so you can use those filters to drill down further to get under that 300 limit. All right, and I saw another question.
Will the 9.2 update have the position number in the search fields for ePars?
No, the 9.2 will not have that. We get that request regularly, and it is something we want to look at in the future. We're limited, and I believe the number is 10. We're limited to the number of things we can have in the search. And early on, position was deemed not as important as the other 10. I'm not so sure people still feel that way. We are revisiting some of those decisions now. And so that is something I'm certain we're going to continue to look at as we look at things to proceed with in the future.
Can you just say what that question was answering?
I'm sorry?
People couldn't hear what the question was.
The question was, is the position number going to be included in the search field when we go to 9.2? And the answer is no, the search fields will remain as they are for now. Yes, ma'am, another question.
So I guess before this month, to terminate somebody, you had to do an ePar, right? So theoretically, I could make an ePar report to see who had been terminated, to find out who has been. How would I find that out now? Or do I just trust?
So the question, I believe, was, how do I run a report of people that were terminated? Like auto-termed.
Correct.
Okay, so if I want to know on a daily basis, if I wanted to have a report, let's see how I could do this. I would run a report on a daily basis, and I don't think I could drill down to who was auto-termed. I want to see. All right, so I have a work form type. So what I would do, I would create a report that looks for the work form type status change, and I would look for work form status of executed. Oh, there's no, the auto term. That's correct. Thank you for catching me. It does leave an action in the system, but there's no ePars, so we would not be able to report that. I thought I had a great way to do it, but I don't.
You would go to InfoPort.
Yep, InfoPort would be the best place to get that information. Any other questions? All right. Anything else to say, Anita? And with that.
Thanks for coming out, and thanks for doing a great job with reminding.
Yeah, thanks for catching me. I owe everybody $1. Come see me after the presentation.
Hope to see you next time.
Thanks
and
a lot.
Look for the recording on CC Info.
Yeah, well, it's okay, then, like, return 0 results.